Welcome back, troglodytes, to the Trogly's Guitar Show. This week, I have this abomination to share with you guys. No, it's not a Fender-made product. This is one of those not-so-Fender Fridays. But if you have been on eBay recently, you've probably noticed that eBay keeps suggesting Chinese-made guitars for just ridiculously good prices. Now, you can get those now on like AliExpress for the same price or cheaper, but this is a big movement to see them on eBay. These companies, the hardest hurdle they have to face is they can't use like the actual Les Paul name or put Gibson or Fender in their title. So I think they're paying eBay to promote them to people who are looking at guitars. Because there's people like me that will see something stupid like this and be like, 130 bucks? I think so. I do want to make note that the seller of these guitars, they're kind of scammy in my opinion. They have their guitars listed on, I think it's like an 8% off sale, all of them. And if you read their bio, they say they're going out of business, they're selling all their stock at discounted prices. And you'll look at their inventory and you'll see it always says last one. And as soon as you buy it, the listing disappears. It shows it's sold out. And that's the reason why I bought this, because I thought, well, it would be a fun item to review and I likely wouldn't lose money on resale because there aren't going to be any more of them made. I was very upset by this company when I saw they then relisted the guitar using the same format, but now the number sold has gone up. So they're using that as a leveraging technique in order to encourage you to buy it right now. Don't just save it in your watch list. Are they breaking any rules doing this? No, but in my opinion, it's a little bit shady. But let's go ahead and look at the specs to see, is it worth the price? The listing for this guitar is atrocious. It doesn't say anything about it, so I can't for 100% certainty say what this body's made of. Let's go ahead and say it's basswood like that glary Strat we reviewed a couple weeks ago. This one has a maple fretboard and it has a maple neck. Now the maple neck on this is actually pretty nice. You've got a little bit of figuring to it. And I like this little knot in the wood right here. It kind of gives it a real wood characteristic, because you never know what you're really getting on these Chinese-made guitars. Now clearly the design of this guitar, it's supposed to be a Stratocaster, but somebody took the neck off from here and put it up its butt, basically. So you get a very visually striking guitar. This is a really cool wall hanger. And when you look at it, it almost just looks like somebody flipped the neck, because the electronics, they look familiar if you flip it this way. It's not the exact same pickguard. You can see there's huge differences here. But when I took this thing apart, I looked at the pickups. They look exactly the same as like what the glary ones did, except for these only have a single wire coming out of them. And in my opinion, I think this one sounded a little bit better, but it could just be because I'm running through a different cabinet now than I was back when I did the glary review. You had the same PCB 5-way switch. Something about this one though is it doesn't have that super stiffness to it. It's very smooth running. You have a master volume and 2 tones. And is this a super inconvenient output jack? No. This is strictly here for looks. If you unscrew it, there's just a cavity under there. They do have an actual jack there though, so it's kind of like a free part if you wanted to take that off and use it for something else. You actually plug this guitar in right here. So that's a pretty halfway decent location. It's actually routed for a humbucker single humbucker combination. So if you wanted to upgrade the pickups in here to have 2 humbuckers, all you'd have to do is cut the pickguard. But the output jack wire just kind of runs straight through the body here. It's just a very small wire. So if you wanted to upgrade your output, it would be very difficult to do that. Let's talk about some pros and cons of this guitar. The issues are it has terrible intonation. I did not do any type of setup on this guitar. I wanted to review it how you would get it if you wanted to order one of these off of eBay. Pretty much every fretted note is too sharp by like 4 cents or so. Now granted, you can adjust that, so that's kind of a small complaint there. I thought the fretwork was excellent considering the price point we're at. I didn't notice any like dead or flat frets anywhere. I will say this one was better set up as far as the action goes as compared to that glary one. But take a look at this headstock. It's a reverse Strat style, so you have string trees for your bottom 4 strings now. And maybe it's just because we're not used to seeing it on the bottom strings. It looks like these are going at such an extreme angle. It's kind of bizarre looking from the side. Another con is this guitar does not stay in tune very well. In my last video, some people had some complaints that I was saying upgrade the tuners and it'll be better. They were saying, hey, it's not the tuner's fault. This time I get to say these tuners, they're not very good. Because sometimes you'll turn them and it doesn't seem to grab the post sometimes. It's not all the time. I mean, they do still function and you can get the guitar up to tune. But sometimes there is kind of a dead phase with these. They're just kind of a cheapy tuner. You can't really expect too much from these. But the next thing that's inhibiting your tuning stability is the nut. Take a look at this photo. I know plastic nuts are generally garbage, but look how low these things are filed. It just doesn't seem like they cared at all when they put this nut on here. But as far as the issues, that's pretty much it. However, there is some pros to this one. The neck does have a proper gloss finish on it, so you don't have that unfinished raw wood feel like you did with the glary Strat. Now you could go either way on that, pro or con, but this definitely feels like a more higher end instrument because of it. It feels familiar, and likely took more time and cost to produce. Overall, I would say the fit and finish is pretty darn good. I didn't notice any like major nicks or dings off of this, and you also have a sparkle to the finish, which is interesting. We'll show you the back here where the sparkles will do their thing. The only factory defect I noticed is there's a little chip right here. I'm not sure if that happened when they drilled these fake holes or who knows, but there is a small chip there. I guess something else good about it is it works. It sounds like a cheap Strat. If you're coming to this video hoping to find out that it sounds amazing, it's a beginner's guitar. You're gonna want to upgrade these pickups if you want to use it on a serious level, but you know, it does its job. Now let's talk about the design of this thing. Everything I'm saying here is just for your information because you're probably curious how well does this thing actually play the opposite way that the guitar's intended. To put it quite frankly, this guitar is a pain to play, and I don't wish this upon anybody to have to play because this is just a design nightmare. First, let's talk about the Strat button positions. Normally on a Strat, you have one right here, and you have one right here. And you would hold it like this. It would be well balanced and just well thought out in general. This one, they've decided to put it here, which is okay. But why? Why here? Getting your strap on this button is difficult. But I think they did that because then it still looks like a normal Strat horn right here. So I can understand that. If you upgraded this to like a Dunlop or a Schaller strap lock, those complaints would probably go away from me. Its current setup, it is comfortable once you get it on a strap. So it's not really a balance issue. It's just kind of a pain to put your strap on it. The next design nightmare here is you play the guitar like this, right? You're constantly flipping your switch accidentally. You're messing with your tone knobs and volume knob. You're just coming in contact with them a lot. And the only way to prevent that is to constantly think about not hitting them. So if you're thinking about not hitting them, you're no longer thinking about playing the guitar. So that is annoying. And to top it all off, I see what they did here. They have volume, tone, tone. That is meant to emulate your regular Strat if you were holding it the correct way. But here's what's confusing, is this tone knob that it's labeled clearly tone is actually your master volume. And then these two are your tone knobs. So when I first plugged this guitar in, I was like, great, I'm so glad they labeled them. Now, that's an easy fix. Just pop this off, switch these two around, and then you don't have to worry about it. Or you'll just remember because now you know the guitar. But the blade style switch, they were smart enough to reverse that because it doesn't change the way the guitar looks. So when you have it in your traditional bridge setting, it's your neck, neck middle, middle, middle bridge, and then bridge. But what's kind of cool about having your blade switch right here is as you're playing, if you need to make a quick adjustment, you can kind of just nudge it like this. So if you need to move positions really quickly while still playing like some fingerstyle stuff, I thought that was interesting. But that's a double-edged sword right there because you can also accidentally move it when you don't want to. Thankfully, this is not the actual output jack, because if it was, you'd be doing this, and then you'd either have this also in your way, or it would be in the way of your fretting hand, or it would just be in the way of your controls. It'd just be uncomfortable. So I'm glad that they still did the aesthetic thing right here, but they gave us a better output jack location down here. The next thing that makes this guitar just impossible to play is, all your cutaways on your traditional Strat are over here, because you can just hug the upper frets on a Strat right here. This guitar, good luck playing past the 14th fret because you've got nowhere to go. You've got the butt end of the deal here. So if you like playing lead, you're gonna have to do it like non-cutaway arch top style and be like this. So that's playing the guitar standing up. If you sit down with this thing, it's also very uncomfortable because now you have the cutaway acting against you, wanting to slide on your leg. I find myself having to anchor the guitar like this and actually have to press down force, and that kind of inhibits play. So then you kind of find yourself doing this to hold it down against your body, and then your fretting hand, you put the opposite force just to get the darn thing to stay still. Playing standing up with this thing is a lot more comfortable. And you can make the argument, if you get a perfect, angled strum, you can avoid all of this. But just remember, save your wrists, because they will also get dinged up by those things. Now, lefties, you might actually enjoy this guitar. So, this is how you hold it as a righty. Lefty, it would be the other way. Essentially, you would have all your strumming room as normal. You would have the comfort cutaway as normal, and your headstock would be normal for you. So you would just have to move the Strat buttons, put one right here, and you could probably use this existing one down here. So that'd just be a very small modification. And if you were to strum right here above the fretboard, you would be perfectly in the clear. So I think this guitar would be a lot more enjoyable if I were a lefty. Another idea you might have is, what if you put a neck on the other side? Because that would be the coolest thing ever, and I attempted it. But unfortunately, the way that they just willy-nilly drilled these holes, it doesn't even line up for the original neck. Because I wanted to see if you could just wrap tail it. Obviously it wouldn't work because you wouldn't have any pickups on this side. But I did mock that up with a Gibson Sonics neck that I had laying around, so I'll share those photos with you. I think that would be an even cooler stage guitar, because you just have this big thing going. You could just like do kung fu fighting with it. That'd be a lot of fun. So overall, if you need your first guitar, would I suggest this? No. Only buy this thing if you need a cool wall hanger, because that's essentially what it is. It's a $135 conversation piece. And I think for that, it's worth it. You know, hang this on the wall. People always be like, oh yeah, I love going to your house. You have that reverse Stratocaster. So it's just meant to be a fun idea. It's not supposed to be a serious playing instrument. So buy one for your man cave, or don't. I don't really care. This is not sponsored by this company. I simply just bought it. So now that we've taken a look at this crazy guitar, let's go ahead and hear how mediocre it sounds. So I hope you troglodytes enjoyed this kind of wacky episode of Fender Friday this week. If you're new to the channel, October is Scary Guitar Month, so I'm planning on featuring 30 just absolutely out of the ordinary guitars, whether it be reverse Strats or just usually strange Gibson guitars. That's basically what you're gonna see on this channel this month. And honestly, you see them all the time anyways. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.